title is Art is Where My Heart Is. You ever start on something, then your heart takes over? Well, Donte Turner is here to tell her story on Where Were You? Well, hello. How are you doing, Donte Turner?
I am good. Thank you so much for asking, Mr. William. How are you?
Great. Just fantastic. And thank you for asking. And I did pronounce that right. Dante with a O, not an A, correct?
That is correct. Thank
Okay,
you for
you
asking.
okay. Well, you're here to tell us your story. And I believe that what we'll take it from here is allow you to get started, pick it up where you want, and we're here to hear your story.
Yes, and yeah, I'll just share I guess my life in a nutshell. And if you have any inserts in between or questions, just feel free to stop me or interrupt. But yeah, so I am from Denver, Colorado. I grew up in Montbello, born and raised, and yeah, hey. But I went to George Washington High School, and then I went off to CU Boulder for college. I studied the major was called integrative physiology. So that's what I studied for the first 2 years. It's a mouthful.
Okay, yeah. After the mouthful, thank you very much. If you don't mind, I would like to ask a question.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Integrative physiology is essentially some of the classes that I took were anatomy. I took microbiology, I took chemistry, I took pre-calculus. Those are the classes that I remember taking. And then I also, my freshman year, I took an intro to painting class. So I think that was a planted seed early on. But yeah, so that's essentially with that major, you can pursue any type of career. It's like I was initially going to either go to like PA school or I was looking into nurse practitioner. It's kind of like a pre-med program. So yes, I did that for 2 years. And in that 2 year time span, I think I just started to realize like I do enjoy learning those subjects. I enjoy learning about the human body and biology and cells and stuff like that. But it just came to a point where I didn't see myself in a career path with those subjects. And I also didn't want to be in school for like 7+ years.
Oh,
That was
okay.
another factor. And just while I was at CU Boulder, we had people in these certain professions that would come in and they would literally just kind of share what their lifestyle is like. And I really appreciated that the program that I was in did that because it kind of gave you just insight of what your quality of life would potentially be like if you were to pursue a specific career. And so one of the ladies, I don't remember what her profession was, but I know she was in the medical field, and she was very transparent about the amount of debt that she had accumulated from being in school, and the amount of hours. She said she was working like 60, 80-hour weeks. And I think to me that her presenting that and expressing that was kind of like the final confirmation for me to say, okay, maybe this isn't the route that I want to go. And
Wait,
I was
wait,
on the
wait.
verge.
Wait. Okay.
Oh,
So
well,
this is where you
what?
changed your direction, your profession,
Yes,
your
yes, yes.
curriculum.
'Cause it was a thought, but it wasn't so much at the forefront of my mind because it just felt like I don't know. I don't like to quit things or feel like I'm quitting, and I felt like that's what I was gonna do, like giving up. Oh, I'm giving up studying, pre-med. And to me, I had to kind of rephrase that in my own head to be accepting of that change. But it was a number of also other things that were kind of just happening in my life that were kind of leading me away from the pre-med path. And yeah, it was literally the semester leaving my sophomore year, going into my junior year. So before the summer had started, I went to my advisor and I changed my major.
Okay, okay. And just a little bit, if I
Uh-huh.
may just ask a question.
Go ahead. Yeah, ask us all the questions you need.
You kind of ran over that there were other factors, that other
Mm-hmm.
things were going on.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I hear what you're saying about the lady and how describing what you're getting ready to get into did not
Hmm.
appeal to you,
Hmm.
could you kind of elaborate if it's not too uncomfortable for you?
No, no, yeah,
What
totally
are
don't mind.
some of these
So,
other things?
so one of the things, well, I think it was taking a toll on my mental health. I think, realizing that now, because while I was in school, I was working two jobs. I had two jobs. I didn't really have a lot of financial help from my parents. They just weren't in a position to do that. So everything that I made was going to my space of living, adulting. And so it's like I didn't really even have the capacity to dedicate the amount of studying that is needed to pass some of these major exams. And then also, chemistry is not my strength area. And I kept getting C minuses in my chemistry classes, and that was dropping my GPA. And I'm coming out of high school, I was like 3.9, 3.8 GPA, and here I am in college, and that C minus in that one chemistry class dropped my GPA all the way down to a 2.9. And so one of the scholarships that I had, it wasn't a full ride scholarship, but it was helpful. You're required to have a GPA of a 3.0 or higher. And I think it was either a 3.0 or a 3.2. And they had sent like a letter or notification to me and said, hey, you're going to lose your scholarship if you don't get your GPA up in a semester. And so that was like, oh, so work some magic in a semester. But like, you're just kind of, all these things are kind of, I think I'm meeting resistance in all these ways. And I think it's like sometimes when that path is not meant for you, things will start to happen to kind of to get your attention. And if you have an awareness of it, then that's when you can kind of switch before it gets too bad. Because it's like I'd rather switch majors and do something that I know I can excel in, and get my GPA up that way than keep trying to you study harder or just work myself to the ground. Like it just wasn't adding up for me personally. So, and then those were the two major things that were kind of like the losing my scholarship was really kind of like the solidification of like, okay, I don't want this to happen. So what can I do to solution seek so that it doesn't happen?
Okay, so you were once again taking an adult stand, looked at your situation, and
Mm-hmm.
figured out what would be best for Dante.
Exactly.
And a lot of things you threw out there, like peace of mind, and you said you didn't even have the time to study. If you wanted to study under chemistry, you didn't have time to even do that.
Yes. I mean, I was also living the college student life. So I
Oh,
probably
what
could
does
have
that mean?
prioritized more.
Yeah, what does
Well,
that mean,
I
Dante?
think you're socializing with friends, you're, hey, let's go out and eat, let's go do these extracurricular activities. And it's like, I wanted to enjoy the college experience. So I'm first generation to even go to college. So I really had no guidance
Amen.
even going in. It's funny, I didn't even know that you had to buy your own books. I I did
That
not
was
know
a
anything.
shock.
Oh my God. I was like, and then it's funny. I went to the campus library, and a typical public library, you can rent a book, maybe, I don't know what it is now, a couple weeks or something. So I go in and get one of the textbooks for one of my classes, and they're like, okay, turn this in 30 minutes. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
Yeah. And so many things I was navigating firsthand, and I didn't know. And it's like I was just literally going in blindly. Like I registering for classes was just, oh, I'm supposed to do this on by this date, didn't know that. It's like, and there's not a lot of, CU Boulder is such a big school, they don't even have the capacity to cater just to this one student.
No, they're
So
not going to do that.
yeah,
With
so
a
I think,
partial ride and getting under. No, yeah, I feel you. So as you was traveling this journey, where did you change and what did you change to, and how is that working for you?
so yeah, I switched to the major college. It's called studio art, and that's essentially you're taking art, and you can have a preference. So you take like a foundation course where you take like wood shop, you take a metal working class, you take ceramics. So it's kind of like maybe someone wants to change to art, but they don't really necessarily know what they want. I know that I want to paint. And so I took a figure painting class that was with the medium was oil paint. Never used oil a day in my life. And so I mean, I had so much confidence, like, okay, I know how to draw. I've dabbled in acrylics before. And so the very first class, oh, it was not a,
What happened?
I, I just, an oil medium is it's very different. If you've never used it before, it's very different than a water-based paint. With acrylics, it dries quickly. It's water-based, so it's just the consistency of it is so much different than oils. And then I'm in a classroom with maybe 15 other students, and they've all used oil before. They're not masters at painting, but they're I would say they're like level 2, 3, and I'm
Okay.
like level 0.5.
Not even one.
Oh, oh yeah. Like, well, I was like, I know I have paintbrushes, but I don't know what I'm doing. And so my painting just I was very frustrated. I felt a little discouraged at first because I was just like, man, there was a little doubt there because it's like, did I choose the wrong
Right.
major? Should I have not done this? But my professor was extremely patient with me and he just gave me so much grace because he knew that I think he understood that I was determined to learn. It wasn't a lack of willingness, it was just a lack of ability. And so
Okay.
yeah, over time I just stayed consistent with it and I gradually got better at it.
So you gradually got better at it.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned also, and we're going to get back to your better. I know you have a painting or a figure sketch or something. I know that, but
Yeah.
you were talking about how you had to do a lot of this on your own.
Mhm.
How, you got your scholarship, you went into it, and it sounded like you grabbed the bull by the horns, accepted life the way it was coming, and handled it. And you're
Mhm.
accepting all your responsibility. Even though your parents they couldn't get into it or help, how do they feel about where you're at?
So even though my parents couldn't help me in the financial realm, like, I mean, they did help me. They helped me where they could. So it's like, okay, we can't pay for your school, but my mom, she gave me her laptop. She said, here's my laptop.
Okay.
You can have that. My dad, he's so funny. He gave me like his boom box. So, it was a radio and it was a pretty expensive radio, little boom. It was so funny. It was really loud. I lived on the dorms, obviously. And then he gave me a treasure chest, which was really nice. It's just, my parents always did what they could. It's like, okay, we can't give you this, but here's what we have. And then
Amen.
even in switch, before I even switched my majors as well, because I don't want to leave, like, they helped me in other ways. So like my dad, before I switched majors, I had a conversation with him. And I said, hey dad, it's like I just don't like how this is working out. I'm not happy. And he is a very he has all girls. So you have daughters. So
Yes, I do.
that emotional part of being a woman, he just was like, well then change majors. He's like, if you're not happy, then do something else. And my mom, when I had switched, well, my mom, I know my parents to some extent, so I didn't tell my mom until I switched.
Well, okay, we're gonna leave mom alone. We're
Yeah,
gonna
well,
hear about it, but you didn't want to tell her till you switch.
oh no, well, because I knew she would have tried to talk me out of it. Like I kind of, and she did even when I switched it. But she eventually came on board when she saw how serious I was about it. Because I had that conversation with her as well, as like, hey, how come you didn't initially support me? And she said, because she's like, as a parent, you want the best for your children, and you want to see them excel. And so she says, here I am telling people you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be this, and then you call me and say, hey mom, I'm not going to do that anymore, I'm going to do art. And she's like, that just kind of threw me off my rail a little bit. And so she's like, because I just, that was out of the blue for me. But then once she saw, like, I think all my parents, like both my parents and my family, they supported me, but it was just like the progression of me getting better, because it's like they see my first painting and they're like, oh, that's
That's
good.
and yeah, trying to be nice and encouraging. Figure out
Yeah,
what are you showing me? Oh, but it's good.
good
Okay.
job. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. And we're okay. So, well, how did you get into your paintings? How is it working for you?
So it's going great.
Introducing New Me, a very new product for your skin. And oh, for the inside? Oh, yes, we have something there for you as well. Together, it is a health choice that I'm sure you will enjoy. Check it out. New Me.
What a big I say game changer was going in college is my senior year. It's the last semester of my senior year. I had my first woman of color professor because she's not black, she's Haitian. That's what she told me.
Okay.
But she's from Haiti. And this was the first time I've ever had a professor that looked like me, you know.
I understand.
And yeah, she really challenged me in a different way than a lot of my other professors did. And I think she kind of gave me the inspiration of, because I feel like I was limiting myself of like, okay, art has to be this way, and I have to fit in this box of what I paint. And she gave me a couple projects. So, example, like one of the projects, she told me to do a current event, and she told me, I don't remember if she said to paint something like that's controversial. And I had did a painting of it was around the time that Trayvon Martin had got murdered. And so
Okay.
it was like a year later. And so I did a paint, I painted him, I painted Emmett Till, I painted another black male that his name was Jordan Davis. And there's another gentleman, his name was Terrell. I can't remember his last name, but he played uh for I think it was the Dolphins or I can't remember. It was a
You talking about Terrell
several years ago.
Davis?
No, it's not Terrell. I have to look up his name.
Okay,
But
but you
he
wrote
was,
you drew this picture, this
yeah.
portrait of these people.
Mhm. Mhm. And that was my first time really kind of stepping out of my box of not painting like a flower or just something that was kind of like out of my comfort zone a little bit, because as an artist, when you create a piece that can cause controversy, you just don't know how your audience is going to react. And some people are going to get the message. It's going to make some people uncomfortable, which is, that's what controversy is. It makes people feel uncomfortable, or it resonates with them in a way that's like, I get you, I thank you for painting that. And so I think that was my first time ever creating something that, I didn't know how the audience was going to react.
How did it turn out?
It was great. I got so much good feedback, and they were like, because it was a big piece. It was like a 2 by 4 foot. It was two pieces that made one. I got to showcase it actually at a vintage theater out here. I got to display that piece back in like 2017 or 2018 for a
Oh,
whole month.
so you've been doing this for a minute. You're still
Oh,
painting.
I am. I'm still actively painting. I'm in a season where I'm doing it more strategically to where I can have my financial stability set up, because I was at a point where I was solely doing art. Like I didn't have a job. I was just doing that full time. I took a leap of faith.
I hear you. We do that. Well, Donte Turner, artist, chemist, doctor.
um, no, not that title.
Do you have any plans of maybe going back to school and continuing your education?
I mean, I would love to learn sculpting
Okay.
with clay. That's something that is on my heart to do, but I want to do it in a sense where I can actually pay for it and I don't have to take out a loan. Maybe it's just a 6 week seminar on how to sculpt with clay. So that kind of school I would take. I wouldn't go back and get like a master's degree, or it's not in my heart right now to go back to school and pursue a master's.
The way I'm hearing things, the fact that you're going on your own and doing what you feel and working it out, sounds like you have a good handle on
Yes, I have a lot of help surrounding me.
it. Good.
Yeah, that I didn't have before. And I think having help or the right people in your corner, it makes a huge difference in just your progress because you cannot do anything on your own. Like it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how you can be an elite athlete. Athletes have coaches, every single successful person has had a coach or a mentor in their life to guide them. And I think I didn't have that. I had a little bit of it in pursuing art professionally, but they could only help me to a certain extent because my dreams were so much bigger.
Well, I am really glad that you stopped by to give us your story, Donte Turner.
Thank you.
And I do appreciate if you had something to say to someone that might be in the same predicament. Should I change my curriculum? Should I not go to school? Or just some of the things that could weigh on a person's mind that might be a student. Is there
Yeah.
something you could leave?
Yes, I mean, I would say a few things. I think don't let fear limit what's possible for your future. So I think we all do that to some capacity. I was very fearful in changing my art, but fear it's not real. You have to really be grounded in knowing yourself and doing what's right for yourself instead of listening to the masses or listening to like peer pressure or just being a free thinker, essentially. Don't allow other people's opinions to dictate the decisions you make about your life. I think that, you know, take advice, take what you need with the advice that people give you and leave what's not of value to you at the
I
table.
heard that.
Yeah, because I think that when I was actively doing like festivals and showcases, I would meet a lot of young people or people who were in school and they're studying a certain major. And they're like, it is a factor of sometimes if their parents are paying for them to get a degree, that's a fine line too, because it's like, oh, if you change your major, we're not going to help you anymore. I've heard that
Wow.
before.
That
Yeah,
they don't
I've
do
heard that.
that.
I mean, like I said, I don't know, but I've heard that scenario said to me before. And I
Wow.
think yeah, that's hard. And it's I think sometimes being a parent, you just got to let your child, I don't have kids yet, so I'm in no position to say that, but I think me growing up from an adult perspective, my parents did allow me the freedom to say, okay, if you don't like that, that's fine, but they didn't force me. It was an expectation, I feel like, for me to go to college, but there was never like oh, if you don't go, we're going to disown you. It wasn't that kind of situation. But I think sometimes that's a scenario in a lot of households where their parents have this vision that they want their kids to pursue, like, oh, you should be a lawyer or you should be a doctor. And it's just like, I think what I tell young kids is make sure you're actually doing it for you and not anybody else. The only one that's going to have to live with that result for the rest of your life.
I think that is some great advice because you hit it on the head. You're the only one that can live your life. And you might as well kind of take the advice that you can and experience that you get along the way and live your life. And don't be tied into peer pressure and what everybody else is saying. What do you feel? Well, Donte Turner, I see that you feel like you're going to do it your way.
I'm just very passionate about living a fulfilled life.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody gets to the end of their life and people always say what they truly feel, and you never hear someone say, I wish I would have worked more, or I wish I would have done this more. They say, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I would have traveled more. I wish, and yeah, even older people, when you've been say you've been in a profession for 20, 30 years, that's another thing I've heard where I've been in it so long, I might as well stick it out. And it's like, say you're 40 or 50 and let's say that you're going to live till 100. That means you have another 40 plus years of doing what you're doing or making a change. You have so much more of your life to live. And I think, okay, let's say you have to humble yourself and start from scratch. That's fine. It's how determined are you to get there? It's the work habit. It's the work ethic. So I don't want to rant, but
No, I'm listening to you because there are things that I have new beginnings even at my age. And what you said can fit anyone that wants to have a new beginning, that wants a change in their life. Donte, thank you so much, and you continue to have a beautiful life.
Thank you so much. You as well, Mr. William. Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Well, another episode of Where Were You? And we would like to thank our guests for this evening. Also want to thank New Me. New Me helps sponsor Where Were You? So go on and check it out. New Me /Arkway. Also, go on and hit that like. Go on and hit subscribe. Go on and hit that share. Go on and leave a comment. And if you find anyone that has a story, let me know. And hey, you bless someone today.